knew that there was a deficiency in the way we do cardiovascular therapy. And the big deficiency was we're not training proper gait before we're taking someone through cardiovascular therapy. All right? So I'm putting them on a treadmill, I'm even putting them on a bike, I'm putting them on whatever, and I'm taking them through a cardiovascular program, okay? What if there's something wrong structurally or dynamically with the way this person moves? And we got to imagine it's going to affect heart function, right? And if I'm testing heart function, I'm testing blood pressure, I'm testing heart rate, okay? And there's a restriction, all right? It's like if I were to climb on your back, all right, and have you go through a stress test. Right. Do you think the numbers would be the same if I wasn't on your back? Okay? So I knew that there was a really important factor in that, and what we needed to create was a way to train proper gait mechanics. Okay. All right? So really important, we need to basically home in on the different phases of gait and make sure that we're loading through those phases, make sure that the restrictions are not there, because we know that if structurally my body's working properly, functionally all the systems work better. Right. All right? There wasn't a device on the market that did this. All right? There was, watching someone walk and saying if you put more load here, more, you know how hard that is? It's almost impossible, right? So I thought if we could create a device that could take you through those phases of gait and train you pattern loading, release the restrictions, because if I'm loading distribution through my feet properly, I'm creating mobility, all right? If I don't load correctly, if I'm on the outside of my foot, my ankle creases up. If I load properly, my ankle's free to move, okay? But as soon as I change that load pattern, everything locks, because everything knows it's offline. And then now it has to balance, and if we balance, we're locking, we're constantly locking. And I know that the body is nothing but moving atoms, so we're always in motion. So how do we stabilize everything in motion during a gait cycle? We've got to know that I'm loading correctly through each phase of that gait. But before we start to walk, we got to make sure that we can statically stand properly and we're loading from a standstill position. Don't start to walk unless you can stabilize the way you need to and distribute weight properly. So that's where the different tiers come into play. So we have basically 20 degrees at the lowest tier, which is the minimal amount of pressure that you need in the foot, and that creates a 60-40. So a 60-40 relationship, rear foot to front foot. With that, you're lining up enough that your mobility is there for the rest of your joints to move. They've shown that by having a 60-40 relationship, there's an 86% decrease in falls.
86.
86.
Just by being able to get to 20.
Tested. Yes.
Unreal.
A gait analysis by Curie study.
So we put this here, line up over the top of it.
And so this would be, so what I want you to do first before you went single leg. Single leg's a little bit harder, okay? Right. That's single leg balance. Let's put both on, let's put it normal, so bring your legs a little bit further apart, okay? Now come on a little bit more. You can tell when that front comes up, it means that you're not all the way on your ball of foot. Okay. That first shoelace is typically the ball of foot. So you know that you need to line that up, all right? So now I have contact medially, I have it laterally, and I have it heel. Right now I'm forcing your load 60-40, okay, because of the angle. Forget dorsiflexion, forget ankle mobility, forget all those things. Right. I want you to load into that heel, and that's why I put you at an angle like I do. Right. Because we don't walk around like this, right?
No, that's
right? Yeah. That's the distribution of pressure, which would line up your body, and that would be proper posture. Okay? And if you're aligned right now in balance and you're under proper pressure, okay, when you go to move, you got to sustain that level of pressure. Now, optimally is the next. So this next tier is 35 degrees. That decreases the risk of injury, decreases the stress to the whole body, decreases why you would have a lower back pain, decreases all those different stresses through your body, being able to sustain weight pressure at a 75-25 split.
So
so again, your shoelace is right at that tier, okay? Right in that tier, yep. And then stand up nice and straight for me. I know, right? I know, right? This automatically, I've just tested you, okay? Yeah. This basically gives me an objective test. I don't need to look at numbers. I know that you're not loading correctly. Yeah. Okay? So you're not at a 70, yeah.
And you've been traveling like a lot, man.
You instantly compensate compensated your ankle. No offense, listen, I've tested Major League Baseball
No,
players,
take it.
top football players, and they all do the same thing when they get into that load pattern because we're taught so much to go into the ball of our feet.
Yeah. I mean, that's been, you know,
Because ideally,
I can't.
that's your load.
Right. I mean, I don't have
And
enough
you see the tension in your back right now?
and my calves.
Yep, you got it.
I mean, there's no. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to force the load pattern. You don't have the ability to get into that position and just feel totally free in that position. You know? Now, if I take my boots off, I have it too. There is a little heel, so I'm cheating a little bit.
Right.
But most times, and the way I use MoFlex is barefoot. I'm not asking everybody to do it that way. It's a lot harder that way, but it's more natural that way.
Now, difference in foot size. My size 14 feet. Right. When I put this up here,
Yeah.
like I probably don't come into much contact with this ridge.
Right.
Right.
And you're not supposed to, it's a gap. Yep, so the
Right.
foot gap system. Heel to ball of the foot, no matter the size of the foot. This is a kind of one size fits all,
Yeah.
from a very small, kid shoe up to LeBron James size 16. Okay. And so we tested to make sure that angle is clear, that you're going to have it at that degree if you line up. And what you'll notice for you is your heel will just be backed off a little bit more. Mine will be a little bit closer in.
Yeah, okay, and you're not gonna get, I mean, you have to have a really small foot for the heel to not even touch.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
No, exactly.
Okay.
And I've got my 4-year-old son who can actually do the little MoFlex stuff out here.
All right, so I'm deficient, so I was okay at one.
So yeah,
Well,
normally you get around without causing stress to your knees, your back, and those types of
I
things.
can walk without falling.
Yeah, exactly.
But I load, I have
So an
a
optimal
range of motion
load-
limitation that's got me to the point where I can't load properly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do, it has everything but nothing to do the range of motion in your ankle. So most would tell you, because you lack dorsal flexion or the flexibility or the range of motion in your calf muscles,
Right.
that's why you can't get into that position, right? But that's half true. Because you're not loading into the heel properly, those muscles have frozen up. All the stretching in the world, all of the, whether you're doing pails, rails, whatever the different types of stretches are, it's never going to loosen an ankle. It's never going to allow for mobility. The reason why you lack mobility in that ankle is because you're not distributing weight properly in the foot. And if you distribute weight properly in the foot, it basically creates mobility. But in practice, in sports, and everything else that we do, we jump right to the ankle. When we think about the ankle, we forget about the foot. And the loading principle in the body is we've got to make sure the load is correct so that everything else above it matches up. Because the foot's compensating.
Right.
Okay? So
Right,
if there's
if I went into a squat, you'll notice that I can't, that's as far as I can go because I know that, like, look, if I try to dorsiflex more, my heels can go.
Exactly. Let's try this. So if you went on here, and let's just even go in at minimal, okay?
Okay.
Go down into your squat, okay? Go as low as you go into your squat and come out of that squat. Try that.
So you're saying.
Keep your back straight, look in the mirror, don't bend forward.
Okay.
Just
So-
lower your hips, just your hips, just your hips. Just your hips.
I can't do that.
And let me prove something why it's your foot. Now
Okay.
come on the other side. We're gonna, so face this way.
Oh,
So
okay.
face this way, okay? Now, I'm eliminating the need for pressure in the foot that creates mobility in the ankle because I just opened your ankle up.
Right.
I made it completely free.
Right.
A squat.
Yeah.
Why do power lifters do this? Because it's easier. And
Right,
you're
so-
cheating. You're cheating. You're putting load and range
So it's
and
like-
movement in your knees and back.
So it's
not
like-
at your feet.
When I did this, I graduated college was 25 years ago, right? But my return to play protocol was be able to squat 225 on one leg with heel off the ground to 70 degrees. Well, I can do that with one leg, right? So I came back 8 months too early, because I cheated it and the exercise was bad. But that's interesting that, when we're here, I can hit
We
page and go.
eliminate foot and ankle.
Right.
And so now we put the load at the knees, hips, and lower back.
And
And
here-
that's why we have so many injuries.
I can't even,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fall.
You're not, yeah.
Okay.
So in an ideal loading pattern, most people tell me it's because my hips are weak, my quads are weak, my glutes are weak. No. All right. I've had 9-year-old, people on here that can move right into that motion here and sit down and get up. You go to load correctly, what you need, and we saw that here when we did the sit to stand. You need a certain amount of dorsiflexion to get out of that chair. You don't need plantar, you need to be on your toes.
So it's going to be interesting because, you know, I'm like, so Terry's taking this video right. So, you know, I'm 44, right?
I won't post that anymore.
No, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, you know, to be able to hear minimal, right? So we're on the lowest here. I physically cannot do it there, right? But we just minimal here.
Yeah.
Boom.
I think I lied because I think I think I will post that because that's amazing just the way it goes.
But it will be interesting to see in 2 or 3 weeks
If you can get
if
there,
I can do it the same way.
you will. I saw it do it with Benny. I can do it.
Squatting is a dynamic multi-joint
Well,
function.
even-
it takes
Dude,
longer than
Right.
stance.
Even at TPI, they tell you that the overhead squat is what. So, I mean, I'll just do it here. But look,
You're going right to your
I'm
toes.
ter-
You're
I'm
going straight to your toes.
Where it should be, you know, right here.
I can't do it.
And
But you're
that is
telling
from
me-
training load, not from flexibility, not from range. It's load. Load is everything.
Okay. All right. So what's so those are the first
why
two
did,
tiers.
but why did I create this for gait?
Right.
And say we have in gait we have 5 phases. We have loaded,
Right.
100% heel strike.
Yep.
Okay, because in walking, let's not go into the whole discussion about running. Okay, because that's like different viewpoints. Okay, just basic walking. We load because we're a pendulum. Okay, our hip acts like a pendulum. All right, and so our load is at 100% right now. Okay, my heel's just struck down. Okay, that's where my load's going to start. The next phase is going into mid stance. This is my swing leg. This is my stance leg. Right now, I should be loaded 75-25 on my stance leg. This leg's in the air, okay? But for someone learning to walk properly, they're learning to basically balance on one leg, because that's what walking is, right? So we've made it easier for that person to be able to load correctly on their stance leg while their swing leg is working. So we went from loading to mid-stance to what's called the third phase, which is called terminal. This is when this leg's getting ready to touch down. This is when basically I'm getting ready to lift from this leg into this leg to my next step. But I can't let this heel up yet, all right? I can't change that pattern or I don't have what's called push-off, okay? And I don't have extension through my big toe that allows me then to move forwards. If I don't have this ability, all I'm doing is falling and catching myself, okay? That's what most people walk. All they're doing is falling over. So if we're worried about, you know, fall risk, for an individual that, you know, has a high risk for falls and they're not trained properly how to walk, they're at a very, very high level of fall risk. The next phase is heel strike, and you notice this back foot's still down, okay? Because it's important. Because when you walk, you have 2 feet down at basically the same time. There's a strike point, okay? Now my load in the back, I still have my heel down, but now a lot of my load's gone into the ball of my foot because I'm getting ready to push off, and then finally the swing phase. There's no device and nothing was ever created so simplified that could teach those phases that could improve the ability to ambulate. And if we don't walk right, as Terry always likes to say,
Yeah.
we can't move right in any function of our life. So mid-stance, and you probably feel a little unstable right now. You're out to the outside part of your foot.
Yeah.
We've already decoded that point to the outside part of the foot. You know, when we go into terminal now, so now bring your foot down, so it's just mimicking the opposite of the other side. Remember, it's still stance face. Try to stand up nice and straight for me. You don't want to be bent over, you're walking, right? So stabilization here. Okay, imagine.
But I would say that I do walk with a little bit of.
Well, we saw it's just you can't get into load pattern correctly, right? So then you need to do that. You won't need to do that if you load correctly.
Right.
Now, try to heel strike with the front foot without letting the back foot come off. Try to heel strike. Jesus. And
Well, I
it
can't
should be
even-
very natural. It should be a very natural pattern. This should be, but we knew from the static assessment,
Right.
your stance assessment, we knew if you can't statically align yourself and balance yourself with 2 legs, it's going to be very hard once we go to a single leg balance.
Right.
Okay? And then finally swing phase, you bring the other foot through, and that's your pattern. There's no better way, and no device has shown so much proof that we're able to increase the ability of the gait function than had ever been done until MoFlex came around.
Right foot, no? Yeah, good.
So I'm much better with my right than I am my left.
Yeah, and that's very typical too. Your stabilization leg, are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your stabilization leg is your left. Your action leg is your right. Your action leg is going to have more mobility to it, or you're going to have more stability to your left side. So your left side is not going to allow you to move as freely because it stabilizes your weight pressure. If we put you on a mat, we would see that you like to put more weight to that side to stabilize.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting because I've been doing this workout with my guy where I'm trying to be here, then do a hip hinge and back, and then do rotation. And I do a lot of supination on that, but when I first started doing it, I was way out on the toe, and I couldn't do it, so I had to really work hard, not from anybody else's instructor, but just me figuring out that I've got to fire that glute and load into here, and I still don't do it very well, but
And unless you have distribution through your heel, you can't fire the glute. The glute doesn't fire.
Seriously weak.
All right, they don't fire. Yeah, because you're the ball of your feet. Ball of the feet is working your quads, not your glutes. Ball is the connect chain that goes to your glutes. And if you're doing a single RDL like you're talking about, making sure that load principle is there so that you're using it. This is a really easy way to train proper load when you go through the sequence. And then it allows for rotation. We were talking about this yesterday. Gait is much like a swing because it's transfer of weight from one side to the other side. So whether I'm in a transverse motion of swing going from one leg to the other, the same thing happens when we go through the gait cycle. We're going from one leg to the other. So mastering your gait mechanics will actually improve your swing and transverse plane mechanics.
That's
because
crazy.
it's teaching you to load from side to side.
That's the part that